Welcome back to StabbyQuest. Episode 3 is a little something special.
A double feature.
We're going back in time to the night before our heroes set off to rescue the Dwarven Surveyors, and deliver it to your earholes in 2 parts. In Good Night, Kallis, we learn a little something about the Paladin's hobbies. And in Sarowyn Comes to Sandpoint, Sarowyn begins her journey with us. Or should I say, we join Sarowyn on hers. Next week, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled timeline. But for now, enjoy episode 3. Welcome back to Sandpoint. You never actually left. Kallis, you're in Sandpoint. But you know that already.
Right.
So, when the group of your adventuring buddies last saw you, you were leaving the Pathfinder Guild Hall and headed back to the Rusty Dragon. What did you do?
Checked to my room, and I actually took a nap.
Really?
Because I'm waiting for the sun to go down, and then I want to get up again. So I want to take a nap now.
Good plan. So, pray tell, why would Kallis go to bed and get up in the nighttime?
Pray tell. Sorry.
I just, it's like, I don't even know what day it is. I don't have a job right now. Been laid off for who knows how days. Like, I eat cereal at nighttime.
Well, that's fine. I do that too sometimes.
Just feel like being.
Although I'm weird. I like the healthy cereal.
Oh yeah,
like way better than
totally
the other. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm old now.
Cascadian Farms. There's a coconut one with chia seed. Oh, so good.
I believe you. So why would Kallis want to get up? You ask.
Yeah.
Because you could say Kallis has a bit of a hobby where he goes out in the evening, and he's basically like a medieval version of Batman, sans the acrobatic skills. So he kind of keep an ear on the ground in whatever town he's passing through, so that he can assist if anyone needs help, or if anyone's getting beat up or something.
So he's like a vigilante style, none of the backflips, but all of the punching.
Yes, that is entirely accurate.
Excellent. Okay, so it's about 11 p.m. We're inside the Rusty Dragon. We're in Kallis's room. He's awake. What is he doing?
All right, he puts on his armor, and he puts a black cloak on over that, and he tries to leave the Rusty Dragon as quietly and subtly as he can without drawing any attention to himself.
Okay. So the Rusty Dragon is actually pretty busy at the moment. So you can walk right out the front door, basically unnoticed.
What time did you say it was?
About 11 p.m. You walk into town and take to the streets. You hear a lot of noise coming from your right. So you head up and turn into the square and take a right on Festival Street. And you can see there's a slew of people who have just left the Sandpoint Theater. So a show just got out.
Mm-hmm.
So people are all about, and you're able to walk through there fairly unnoticed. Nobody's really standing around. If you need to, if you want to, you can go right up Main Street, or you can take or Festival Street, or take the back alley. There's an alley called Drunkard's Way that goes behind the Sandpoint Theater.
Does the alley have sight of the crowd of people?
It does not. No, it's obfuscated from Festival Street entirely.
Okay, then I just kind of want to stick to the sides of Festival Street and just kind of wander down along with the crowd quietly. Okay.
So by the time you get up to about the festival, about the theater, most of the folks have spread out, and there are a couple of ahead of you. There are a couple of actually roll a perception check. Probably going to be pretty straightforward, but
famous last words. That is a 5 total.
Okay, well, there are people everywhere. No, you see a couple of unescorted women who are walking in the same direction that you are towards Raven Street. That's really the most... Knowing that Kallis is looking for any, ne'er-do-wells or injustices, this is of particular interest, I suppose. Well, maybe not of interest, but it's particularly obvious to Kallis that these women do not have any escorts.
So if that's the only thing of interest, can I follow them by like keeping a distance of like basically as much as possible while still being able to see them?
Yep, absolutely. So I think that they're fairly well dressed. They're distracted. They may be season ticket holders to the Sandpoint Theater, perhaps, but they're distracted with what they saw this evening. So they are not paying any attention to you at all.
Cool. Well, yeah. Basically, I'm just on patrol at this point, so just keeping an eye out.
Okay. So a few folks continue up Festival Street. You see a couple of people take a right onto Bishop, which kind of loops around to the Rusty Dragon along the coast of the river. And the two ladies have taken a left onto Raven Street.
They're just like walking home, right?
Yeah.
Or like best I can figure.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I'll just still kind of meander and keep them in sight.
Okay, so they continue up Raven Street. Raven Street hooks a left at one point, and it dead ends in a row of houses. And there is one offshoot. Imagine like a row. They're not really townhouses, but imagine like townhouses on both sides, and then there's one at the end, like a cap as well. So anyway, so the ladies are walking towards that group of houses, and... me a flavor. Do a perception check for me.
18.
Oh, snap. Okay. As you're walking down Raven Street, to the left is an offshoot for an alley known as the Drunkard's Walk. And right as you get to the intersection of Drunkard's Walk and Raven Street, you hear the unmistakable sound of hurried, hushed voices.
Several voices? That was plural?
Oh, yeah, plural voices.
Does it sound like dudes or gals?
They're male voices.
Male voices.
Yep.
Can I walk up to the entryway of that alley and stop?
Yeah. Staying on Raven Street?
Yeah, like right where the two like come together and like look down towards down Drunkard's Walk.
Okay. So you take a look down, and from your standpoint here, you're looking down Drunkard's Walk. There is a branching path or alley to the right, and from your perspective, looking straight down Drunkard's Walk, you can't see anything out of the ordinary, including there's no people there.
Do I still hear the voices?
They are a little quieter, but yeah, you can still hear.
But I still hear. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I look to my right and see if the ladies are still walking?
The ladies, well, they've made the corner now around the bend on Raven Street, so they are now out of view from you.
Okay.
But you know that they did not go down. They did not go down this street, Drunkard's Walk.
Okay. I'm gonna walk down Drunkard's Walk and just keep my ears open for those whispers.
Okay. So the street that comes off of Drunkard's Walk is Bent Street, and Bent Street kind of goes a little back to the right. And at that corner, do me a favor and roll another perception check.
12.
12? Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you can hear them there to the right. The voices are coming to the right down Bent Street.
All right. I'm going to go that way slowly with my hood up.
around Bent Street, there is one house that is now on your left, which has a portion of it juts out. And that is what is causing the hook in Bent Street. This is probably where it got its name. And
I get it.
Basically, when you get around this corner, you are going to have view. But as you approach this jutting, this part of the house that juts out, you can hear the voices are getting louder.
I'm just going to keep walking on towards them.
Okay. So you get around the corner, and immediately you see two human men, and they see you. And as soon as they see you, they take off running down Bent Street. What do you want to do? Yeah, well, they bolted.
Can I run it? Okay, so I have small legs, and I don't think I'm going to be able to catch a human on foot. Okay. But I could probably play the long game. So can I chase after them? But I want to stop and take special care to look at their specific footprints and just try to put that to my memory for the next couple minutes here.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So let's see. So you are going to come out on Main Street, and there's a lot of road on both left and right here.
Oh.
Let's see.
Okay.
So how about another perception check?
19.
Jesus. Okay.
I only have a +1, by the way.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Seriously.
Baby, you got golden dice tonight. All right, anyway. Sorry for that weird interlude. You absolutely can tell by looking left to right that they are not on Main Street. And as you look at the ground, you can see that they quickly zigged, then zagged, and ran into a street opposite Bent Street on Main, which is called Rat Alley.
Of course. Of course it's Rat Alley. And I say that out loud to myself.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Nobody hears you.
Okay. I am going to head down Rat Alley.
Okay. Are you just going to walk down Rat Alley or poke your head down, or what are you doing?
I think I think I will slowly just walk at an even pace, but pretty slowly.
All right. So as you're walking down Rat Alley, you see nobody. You are approaching a split in the road. So from Rat Alley, it takes a right. There's some houses over there. And it takes a left as well. And are you going to just walk out into the intersection? As I railroad you into making a decision?
Yeah, right. No, wait. You know what? I defy you. Yes, I am going to walk into that intersection.
Okay. So you walk into the intersection.
And I'm dead.
And an arrow hits your knee. No. So right as you step into the intersection, from your left, you hear, "We lost him." And someone say, "Good. We've got some business to attend to." And on your left are two thugs. And one of them is holding a woman by the arm so that she's kind of dangling. She doesn't have her footing. And you can hear her pleading, no, take anything, my money, my necklace, anything, just let me go. And she's clearly struggling. She obviously is being mugged.
Was that guy that spoke addressing me, or was he talking to her?
He was talking to his buddy who said, "We lost him." And then by new business, you think he means relieving this young woman of her belongings.
Gotcha.
At the very least.
How far away am I?
20 feet, possibly.
Is there a wall on either side of me?
There is a wall. Very houses on either side.
All right. So I always I have a shield in my right hand. Can I just bang on the wall like 2 times with my shield, just to get their attention?
Yeah. Do you want to bang it on the wall, or do you want to bang it on like the butt of your flail, or?
No, I'll just do it on the wall for right now. Just
okay. All right.
Yeah, just making noise.
That got the men's attention. And you startled, actually, the one with the much better accent. And he actually drops the lady. And she struggles free and skirts away. And she is now sort of crawling to the kneel crawl to the run. And she is now escaping down Rat Street. And so as that happens, knowing their quarry is gone, the larger one turns to you and says, "Well now, our bounty's gotten away, but you look like you're the gold-carrying type, and you're about to get robbed, shorty." And from behind you, you hear another voice say, "Good plan, boss." And you're surrounded.
Can I just kind of shift my body so that the dangly part of my flail becomes visible to them?
Yeah, sure.
Because I have a cloak on currently, so I don't I'm not just like displaying everything I have.
Okay. So wait, so you want to make sure you want the flail to be
I just
known?
want it to say I was holding the chain up with the handle of it, and I just like drop it so that it just like falls down, so they can see like
the ball at the end,
a flail under there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. One of the guys in front of you, not the leader, but the other guy, he looks a little nervous now.
So how you said I'm surrounded? So is the guy behind me close?
He's about 10 feet behind you.
So I got 10 feet and 20 feet in front?
I should say they're probably more like 15 feet in front.
Okay.
And it's time to roll initiative.
18.
Jesus. Well, you have amazing dice, and I have crap dice. So
it's only going to last for so long.
You're going first, my friend.
All right. So the guy that was talking the most shit is seemingly the leader of this operation here, right?
Exactly. Or at least
right.
You believe that. You think that both people have called him either boss or made him appear to be the one in charge.
Can I do Smite Evil against the leader?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Which should be a swift action, so I think I just get to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so as your guys you're getting all jacked up, ready to fight, you whip your left hand out of the cloak, pushing it back over your scale mail armor, and the symbol of Iomade in your gauntlet.
Iomade!
And then it glows. The symbol on your gauntlet glows a bright golden white light as you aim your fist at the thug leader, and there is a slight shimmer around his body, signaling you that he is in fact a grade A douchebag and evil.
Excellent. He is my target.
Okay.
My move action is getting within distance, or my move action is getting within distance to hit him with my flail.
Okay.
And then I would like to hit him with said flail.
Okay.
Is his face exposed?
Yeah.
Then that's where I want the flail to land.
Okay.
I critically missed.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, that would have been so cool to be like, I'm showing you my symbol of my god, and I'm going to punch you right in the face with my hammer or my flail.
Yeah, that would have been cool for us.
I'm sorry.
I know it would have been.
Okay. So you run up to try to close the gap. And as you're running towards this thug leader,
mm-hmm.
you have your flail in your left hand,
mm-hmm.
in the glowy gauntlet hand, and
mm-hmm.
you come overhead to make an overhead swing. But
mm-hmm.
before you can get the flail over your shoulder, you trip with your right foot. And as you are now trying to recover to bring your right foot again for a second step, your body is now sort of leaning to the left. And just as this happens, you see a tiny glint of light. Suddenly, the thug that was to the left of your target coughs, a guttural, wet cough, drops to his knees and lands face down in the dirt, a steel dagger in the back of his neck.
The dude that was next to the leader?
Yep.
Let's see.
Now, back to you. So your flail just missed, and you regain your composure, but as you look up, you can plainly see that the amazing graceful combat maneuver you've just managed to execute has put you kneeling less than a foot away of the thug leader, who is now looking down on you and says, "Come to beg for forgiveness, have you?" Well, I'm not the forgiving type.
I don't like that at all.
And he
That doesn't make me feel good. I don't feel badass anymore.
Yeah. What's your AC?
17.
I had a feeling. He's going to make an unarmed attack against you. So he's looking down on you, and as a dwarf, you're not very tall. And he just takes his right hand and he just drops it right on your brow for 4 damage. Like smash, now you see stars popped right in the forehead.
Okay, 4 damage.
So the other thug runs up from behind, and actually, I was thinking you probably have a penalty on this now, because he's flanking you, technically. So you can hear the thug running towards you from your position.
Awesome.
And as he runs up behind you, you hear the footsteps getting closer, and as you brace for this attack, grimacing a little bit, you feel the gentle wind on your bald dwarven head as whoosh, he completely missed and goes right on by.
Okay.
And now it's your turn again.
So it's my movement that I have to stand up?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to stand up.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm just going to go after the leader again.
Okay.
Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me?
Did you spend all your good rolls on perception checks?
Yes. So I did improve though. Instead of a 1, I got a 2. So
Jesus.
That's a total of 5 to hit.
Okay. 5 isn't going to do it.
Awesome.
Okay, so you go in for a flail attack, just regaining your footing, and he deftly steps out of the way. He just sidesteps it, and the flail
Oh shit! You know what I
smashing
forgot?
on the ground. What?
You know what I did forget?
Oh, the Smite Evil
Yeah,
attack
I did.
bonus?
I did forget that. Yeah.
He still doesn't. It still doesn't.
I know, but I wanted to say it.
That's a good point, though. I will remember that for next time too. Oh, because you get bonus on damage too, right? +1 damage.
Yeah, if I hit him, being
Right.
the difficult
There's
part
that.
at the moment. But yeah.
Okay, so it is now the leader's turn again. Oh. The thug leader, now having sidestepped your flail attack, pulls his dagger off of his right hip, and he is going to come across for a crossbody swipe, probably right in your eye range. And as he moves back in front of you, he completely misjudges the distance, and he goes right on by and misses.
Okay, good.
He's still standing in front of you, but his dagger whiffed. The other thug, who missed you by a mile, he comes back around with his arm cocked, and he is going to punch you in the face, which he did manage to do for 2 damage.
He arm cocked me in the face.
Yeah, well, he was like running back at you with his arm cocked.
Yeah, he arm cocked me in the
head.
face. I get it.
Yeah, he did. Oh, yeah.
What's
he did,
the-
in fact, that happened. Yeah.
Well, sorry, what did you say for damage? I was distracted.
Oh, from the visuals?
Yeah.
2 damage.
From the nightmares. Yes. All right. Awesome. This is going just as I planned.
I'm going to do the vigilante stuff, Dad. I'll be back in a while. Never comes home.
Nope. They get the call. They get the call for body identification.
Oh, that was so dark. Oh, it's your turn again.
Oh. Well, I'm going to kill this guy at some point. Like, I'm going to.
Which one? Both of them, or the
currently the most evil
leader?
one, which I have only determined from my ability Smite Evil. So I'm going to try again in my epic saga of failure that is unfolding before my very eyes. You won't believe this.
Okay.
Literally.
Did you fail again?
No. Quite the opposite. I have a natural 20. So do I have to add anything?
I don't think so because... so here's the thing. That's... let me see. For your weapon... So now you have to confirm the critical by meeting the target's AC again.
So that is a 18.
18 plus... what is...
Oh,
what do you
I
get
keep
for
forgetting.
Smite
So that's it's plus 2 on my attack roll. So that's a 20. Not natural.
Okay. That's cool. That confirms the critical. And so now you need to roll damage.
So
what is that? 1d8 plus 2?
Yep. So that is 5 plus 1 for Smite Evil.
Okay.
So 6 total.
All right. So you rolled a 5 for damage. So we'll multiply that times 2 for 10 and then add the plus 1 from Smite Evil for 11.
Okay.
So flail in hand, you're not flanked, but there are two people who are essentially right up on you, both much taller than you. So you have your flail, and knowing that you couldn't get a good swing on this thug leader coming from the left, you decide to go the other direction, and you whip your head around and back up towards the leader's face, and your arm and flail follow. And as you sort of, I guess, reverse haymaker the flail through the air, as it comes up, it catches the thug leader right in the bottom of the jaw and the front of his lips, and bone crunching, blood spurting, teeth ejecting, and fluid goes all over the place, including covering the thug that was standing to the thug leader's right. The thug leader is some semblance of a human now and slumps down to the floor in a pile of shaking, soon to be dead human flesh.
Amazing.
And parts.
Love it.
Nicely done.
That felt good after the fails.
Yeah, I bet it did. The other thug who just witnessed this and now has most of his boss's face on his face decides to GTFO, and he's not going to be around long. He's running. He took off. He is trying to escape. He's headed down Rat Alley.
Well, I still don't think I'm going to be able to catch him. And I don't have anything to throw at him. I don't think.
He's shaken, right? He's covered in blood and teeth and probably some eye fluid from his employer. So he's probably freaked the fuck out. So I'm going to roll a... Can I successfully compose myself knowing that most of my old boss's face is on my person? Roll. He made it out, like talking to himself and like trying to pull the teeth and stuff out of his beard and moving away and running and talking to himself as he ends up down around the corner at the end of Rat Alley. And you're alone with two dead guys in an alley.
All right. So presumably the girl is good, right?
Yeah, she's long gone. I mean, It only takes like a little bit for combat, but she's history.
All right. So can I check out the guy that just dropped?
The one with the dagger in him?
Yeah.
Okay. He's laying face down in the dirt with a dagger in his neck. It's a steel dagger.
Can I make out anything about the dagger? Well, it must have been thrown, right?
Roll a perception check, please.
5.
Okay. There's a dagger in his neck.
Yep. Sure is.
That's what you can see that as clear as day.
All right, I want to take it out.
Okay, so it makes a splurt noise, and some of the blood comes out.
And I'm gonna just like pocket it. And can I look just in the general direction of where it could have come from?
It came from behind him. You can tell somewhere.
Okay, but no obvious location.
I mean, there are things you could piece together, right? So as a dwarf with dark vision, even being in an alley with some sort of ambient light around from various torches or fires burning, you could probably see as plain as day if there was somebody that was in the alley with you that was not one of these three people.
Okay.
Deductive reasoning would say this person was not on the ground floor.
All right, fair enough. Next, I want to go to the guy that I maimed very proudly. I want to pick up his body so that I can slump him up against a wall.
Okay.
And I want to use his blood to paint the symbol of my deity on the wall above him, as large as my little dwarf arms will allow me to.
That is brutal. All right. So
stands for justice, motherfuckers.
So the way you do this is that you pull off the guy's hat.
Wow, I thought you were going to say like his hand or something.
No, that would be super brutal. And I do like that.
I didn't expect that. Jeez.
But that's sort of like chaotic.
Yeah. I don't think I was going that far. But
no. So you pull off his hat. And you can tell that he and the other thugs were wearing what is sort of like common dock worker attire. Shorter pants, regular leather shoes, maybe a tucked in shirt and like a knit cap, so to speak, but like a cloth, head wrap almost. And you can sob that up with all of his blood and eviscera and paint the sort of sunned sword symbol of Iomade on the wall. You have to stand on his legs a little bit to get sort of the height that you wanted. And while that was kind of difficult, I think that you managed. You can take 10 on that. I
think it's safe to assume he's not going to mind much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's making literally zero noise. All right, now what? Now that you've just painted this amazing, it's a really good. Oh, actually,
awesome.
Roll me. No, you don't have to roll because you have your time. No one else has come back here. It's like a really good representation of the symbol.
I'm glad. All right.
Yeah. Even people with no religion knowledge would be like, "Hey, I've seen that before. I know what that is."
What you mean passerbyers have to?
Yeah, well, they would see it afterwards and be even if they didn't have a good religion check, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, Iomade.
Oh nice.
That's gross, a dead guy.
Oh yeah, also that."
Mm-hmm.
Can I take one last look around this area before I bounce?
Yep. If you want to roll another check, you can. I think you've found out everything you can about at least the dagger. You took the dagger with you, right? Did you say you picked that up?
Yeah.
I don't even think you need to roll a check. You don't see anything else around.
Okay. Then I'm gonna bounce from this alley.
Okay. So you gather your belongings, pocketing the dagger. Maybe you wipe it off on the back of the guy first.
Sounds good, yeah.
Stow your weapons, don your cape, covering your armor, and stroll back out into the night of Sandpoint. Have you been to Sandpoint before?
I have not.
Okay. So you do have a local knowledge skill. You can roll a knowledge check for local knowledge. So these are things that maybe you heard while you were working at the temple. Maybe you heard in passing. Maybe when you were in Galduria, you overheard some things. So this is just checking to see how much you know or can remember about the town of Sandpoint.
Okay. Which dice is that?
20-sided. Anytime it's a check, it's a 20-sided die.
17.
Okay, and your modifier for the knowledge is what? Local knowledge?
5.
5. So it's a 22?
Yes.
Jesus. Okay, you know all kinds of things about Sandpoint. You know it was settled by 4 families, 4 big houses from Magnamar. There's a gigantic lighthouse in this town. You know that there were some unpleasant events within the last couple decades that they just call the late unpleasantness. And there was a series of violent and tragic events, including there was a serial killer and then a great fire. The serial killer was actually this old guy. He was the kind of crazy old guy in town. And he was actually going around town killing citizens, cutting out their tongues and scooping out their eyes. It turns out he believed that there was like a bird god. And eventually they found this altar that Chopper had made to this bird god that like didn't exist or he made up. And they found him there dead, who had plucked out his own eyes and cut his own tongue out in like a final sacrifice.
Jeez.
Yep, so you're aware of all those details. You also know that there's a Pathfinders Guild outpost here. You know the mayor, Kendra Deverin. You know the sheriff is Belor Hemlock. The Rusty Dragon is an inn that is keen on helping adventurers because the proprietor was an adventurer herself. And you know that the lighthouse has some controversy around it about what it actually was used for, if in fact it was a lighthouse. It's a structure that stands like 150 feet tall, but it's clearly decrepit. And you know that most people think it's a lighthouse. They refer to it as the lighthouse. But there is a belief that it's haunted as well. So you come in from the east on a road called the Lost Coast Road. And from here, directly in front of you, you can see the Cathedral of Sandpoint, which is a very large building. And that's kind of on a ridge to the right with the graveyard. You're looking at a wooden bridge leading into town. What do you want to do?
Well, when I cross the bridge, what is over the bridge?
All kinds of stuff. The whole town is over the bridge.
Can I get a beer first?
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely need a beer after my killing, so I want to head to a tavern.
Okay, so it's probably been at least a week or two since you murdered the guy in Galduria.
Okay. So I've had a long journey, so I need a drink.
Okay. You can head to a tavern. There's a variety of places. The Rusty Dragon is one. Hog's Head Inn is another. There is the White Deer.
Well, one of my last killings was eaten by pigs, so I will go to the Hog's Tavern.
Okay. So you walk in and sort of a bearded, all white hair, white bearded man, kind of tan, is sitting behind the bar, polishing the bar very meticulously. You see decorations and signs and like trinkets and all kinds of shit just all over the walls. It is plastered to the point you can't see the original walls anymore. It's not too busy. People are just kind of mulling about. There might be a couple of tables in here total filled with guests, and the barmaid is walking around. What do you want to do?
So I look around and I walk up to the bar and I order a drink.
The proprietor comes over and he says, "Hey, how you doing?" You just put your hand up and he just brings you over because they only have one beer. It's like a light ale. He puts that down in front of you. Says, "I'm Floyd. Give me a ring if you need anything."
And I just look at him, nod my head, and I grab my beer and I start to drink it. And I look around at all the trinkets.
Okay. Yeah, I've been collecting those for a long time. If you have any questions about them, let me know. There's a story behind each one. Some people bring me some, but I'll be over here. You look like you want to be left alone a bit.
And I don't say anything, and I just start walking over to one of the walls and examine it.
He just goes back to work, knowing that you kind of want to just look around.
Yes, so I walk over to one of the walls and I start examining what's on the walls. So what am I looking at?
Mostly like inane junk. It's not like signs for like, this is a missing person or anything like that. They're like knickknacks, basically. Some are like small toys. There are some weapons, but they look like recreations of weapons. They don't look like they're actually functional. You see a couple of, I guess I would call it like tavern paraphernalia, like really old other tavern signs that are kind of nailed up, like the kind of paint, but they were clearly outside for a long time, so the paint is like dripping off of them, and kind of inane things like this. So it's charming and it's quaint, but there's nothing particularly special about anything. Regardless of Floyd said that they all have a story. Mm-hmm. They're clearly personal stories to him for people that are either dead or that you wouldn't know to begin with.
Okay. So I quickly drink my beer and I decide that I do want to call it a night, start to head out and settle down. Okay.
So you head out to, you go back to the bar, drop off your cup, leave a coin. Floyd nods, says, "Take care now." You head out And from here, you have a couple of choices. So you could have stayed in the Hogshead Inn if you wanted to. You can sort of take up shop camping outside of town. You could camp in the Old Light if you can figure out a way to make people not think that it's suddenly inhabited. Or you can stay at an inn or another inn.
So if I go to this haunted lighthouse or whatever, can I do something to the fire that'll make it seem like nobody's there?
Yeah, you could actually, so knowing from your time inside of the temple, you know that if you can find an alchemist shop, you can probably find some moth spouter, some plant material that will tinge the fire a different color.
Okay, so I guess I'll start wandering through the streets. And is there anybody around that I can approach and ask them if they're selling that?
Yeah, there's people just left and right. I mean, they're like, it's not like it's super busy, but it's a town. There's like not much to do. So people walk around a lot. So there's someone that you can just grab someone in the street and ask them if you want to.
Okay, so I do see somebody across the way, and I ask them if they do have any moth powder that they're willing to sell to me.
Okay, so it's an older woman. She has to look way up at you. She's like, "Are you on drugs, young lady? What is this moth powder? What are you talking about?"
And so I immediately see the worry in her face, and
Okay.
I just say, I'm sorry, wrong person, and I don't want to draw any attention to myself, so I continue walking.
Okay, so she calls off to you. She says, wait a minute. Are you looking for an alchemy shop?
And I quickly turn around, and I reply yes.
Oh, okay. She says, in that case, you'll want the Pillbug's Pantry. It's down this way, 2 blocks.
And so I say thank you, good day, and I start walking.
Waves. She says, good luck with the drugs. Try harder next time. I'm just kidding. She doesn't say any of that.
I said I'll bring her some.
She forgot that she even talked to you. That's how old she is. Okay, so you go to the Pillbug's Pantry, head in and talk to the shop owner, and he says, oh yeah, of course we have this. Here you go. And he says, it'll just be a couple of copper. We grow this out back. So you exchange the money and say, thank you. See you later. And now you're off. So you can go sort of like sneak around the beach and climb up the back of the lighthouse.
Yeah, I would definitely like to take the most inconspicuous way.
All right, so let's say you go up through Junker's Way. You walk back up Main Street all the way to the coast. There is an island above the lighthouse called Chopper's Isle, and that's where the murderer lived. So you can kind of sneak down to the beach. You notice that there's a strong... Oh, actually, tell you what. Roll that D20 again.
I got a 3.
Okay. And
not
now,
as lucky this time.
Not as lucky. And then look at your character sheet, and there is something on there called Perception.
And I've got an 8. So 11 total.
You notice that as you approach the sort of top of Junker's Way, it really stinks like garbage. Like really bad. And before you sort of jump off to go down the rocky incline, you look down and you can see there's a shit ton of garbage below you. Because the town dumps their garbage here and the ocean takes it away most of the time. So you manage to get sort of past that and not jump down into a bunch of garbage. And then we'll say you walk across the beach and kind of climb up into the old lighthouse.
Okay.
You're going to kind of hang for the night?
Yes, I'm going to set up camp.
Okay. So you set up camp, and then when it gets dark and a little cold, you light the fire with the moth powder satchels in it, and it glows a bright blue. But it's not a huge fire, so anyone who happened to see it overnight probably just thought it was, the haunting that's in the old light.
Great.
So you're fairly convinced that that's not going to be an issue. One of the places that you do know... Oh, I'm sorry. I did mention Pathfinder Guild, and it was in the things that you know about the town. So, yeah. So there is a guild hall here, Pathfinder's Guild Hall. So it's the next morning. Do you want to head over there?
I would love to.
Okay. So as you approach the front door, all of a sudden you hear a huge boom. And I'm going to need you to make a reflex saving throw. You realize that the door was essentially getting kicked open. And you got to jump out of the way.
Okay.
So the way to do a saving throw is still with the 20-sided die. So you roll that, and then you add your reflex modifier to it.
12. And I add 6. So yeah, 18.
Oh, good. Okay, so the door opens, and you just bounce, like sidestep shift, as fast as the door is opening, just to the left. And out of the door comes a staunch-looking dwarf in a black cape, and he is trudging very quickly down towards sort of the southern part of the town. And you can hear, voices inside talking. So, you want to go in?
Yes, I'm very curious and suspicious, and yeah, I'd love to go in.
Okay, so you'll just say you eye the dwarf for now and get a good look at him. For a dwarf, he's only 4 foot something tall, but he's hoofing it. So you pop inside, and you can see that there are, in the building that you're in, there's sort of a front part that looks like a sort of a courtroom or like an auction house area. It's like sort of banistered off from the rest of the building. And then in the back, kind of to the left of where you entered, there is a stairs up and some tables back there in a U shape that goes along the shape of the building, and some tables down below as well. And this is kind of where like adventurers hang out and talk and rest and do whatever. Other members of the Pathfinders Guild or people looking to come to talk to some adventurers about jobs they need doing, etc., etc. Up at the front, you see a couple of people of interest. There's a half-elf who's very tall. You see a human who has an enormous sword, big two-handed sword. And you see another elf who is in kind of like raggedy clothes, and he's just kind of like wavering back and forth, looking kind of like dazed out. And in front of them, they're talking to an older gentleman that's sort of like medium tan skin, kind of like whitish silver hair. He's talking to them clearly about some other job. And sort of just as you step in, the human turns and starts to walk towards the door.
Okay. And what else is in the area that might be of interest?
In the town?
In the building that I'm at.
Oh, in the building? The sort of older gentleman is just doing like paperwork. He's still up there writing some things down, talking with another attendant. And then the rest of the people are just kind of various, adventurers or townsfolk.
Okay. Side note, do I want to talk to that guy that's writing stuff down?
You can. You can go talk to that guy if you want to, and you can also ask him about those people, and you can ask him if they're a job. You can do anything you want.
So, yes, I do see somebody writing stuff down, and I'm a little curious, so I walk over to him and ask him.
Okay. He looks up, and then he looks up again, realizing that he was like looking at your boobs, basically.
As he should.
Nice. Excuse me. His cheeks are like a little bit red, and now he looks up at you and says, yes. What can I do for you, miss?"
What sort of people come in and out of this place?
Oh, this is the Pathfinder Society. It's a place for people to come and pick up jobs. Adventurers come and go in here, and if there are things needing to be done by the town, typically the militia can't get out to leave the town to go deal with goblins or gnolls or anything like that, so the Pathfinder Society manages those activities. Are you looking for work?
I am, actually.
We had some items on the board there. Nothing too exciting right now. Unfortunately, I just sent a number of folks off to go check on some dwarves at the old mine. It's up the road a ways. It probably is a day's travel into the hills. Shoot, that's too bad. Maybe you could catch them.
Sure. Where is their end goal? What location?
Oh, the old mine is a mine that Sandpoint used to own, but it's fallen out of use. There was a cave-in there a number of years ago, and it's up the road a ways, and he gives you the location.
Okay, perfect. And is there a reward?
It's 100 gold pieces per person, but since I've given the job already to the other 4 guys that literally just left, you'd have to work out with them if you're going to join up with their party.
Okay, so I know that the team has already left and I need to track them, so where can I go to get a better vantage point?
You could climb some of the buildings. The militia's across the street. That would be pretty sketchy, but you can probably get up on top of the building that you're on. That you're in, the guild hall.
Okay, and in the guild hall, would that be less conspicuous?
That would be less conspicuous. If you think of the front, there's a couple of steps up, and it has wooden posts on the side and railings on the side. And you could climb up onto that sort of small roof and then climb up onto the big roof with ease enough that I don't think you need to make a climb check.
Okay, then I will definitely climb up the roof of the hall.
Okay, so you clamber up there, and as you're looking down the street, you can see the dwarf is probably more than halfway down Main Street, which is due south. The human, you just noticed walked into the Hog's Head Inn, which is kind of across the street in the other direction where the dwarf is going up Main Street. And the elves, or the half-elf and the elf, are kind of like meandering down Main Street as well, but they're like barely half the distance as you are to the dwarf.
So I am at my vantage point, and I am tracking. I decided to start tracking everybody.
Okay, so you want to follow the elves and the dwarf?
I do. Yes, I want to follow the elves and the dwarf.
All right, so you head south on Main Street. Both the elves take a left on Water Street. The dwarf, too, hooks a left on Water Street. That's basically at the docks. So now they're walking down Water Street, and you make the turn without getting noticed because you're really far behind them, actually. So the dwarf, as you turn Water Street, you see him go into a large building pretty far away. The sign has a dragon on out front, and you assume that that's the Rusty Dragon. And you'd be right, in fact. That is an inn. Remember, you know a shit ton about this town because you rolled a 25. And the elves split, and the half-elf takes a left up Festival Street, and the full elf, the wavering one, eventually goes down and steps into the Rusty Dragon as well. And as you turn your eyes to the half-elf, you can see he goes into the Sandpoint Theater. So now you know where everybody is currently located. I think for the sake of this, we can say that you have a pretty good guess that they're all staying at the Rusty Dragon.
Okay.
Except for the human, probably, who went to the Hog's Head Tavern.
Yeah, so I think now that I know where everybody's staying, I'm going to head back to the lighthouse, get a good night's sleep, and then venture out early in the morning.
Okay, so you head back to the lighthouse for the night. You use your moth powder trick again. And in the middle of the night, you wake up and you can't sleep. So you decide that you are going to wander about town. You can still hear some people off. You think it's maybe about midnight. And there is some chatter, about town, or sort of over in your area. And it's probably the militia, which is close by, guards who are out doing night duty, walking around. But you're awake. You're free to do whatever.
Okay. So I decided to get up and walk around and slink around town.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, so you head down sort of along Junker's Way, which is where they drop the trash off the ocean, or into the ocean. And you think probably there might be some action down at the docks. You head down Main Street, and there are a few people out, in fact. There's a couple of guards sort of doing the patrols. As you get past the town hall and the militia place, there is an alley off to the right. You hear some commotion from down the alley. You think it's maybe a little odd because it's fairly close to the militia, but it sounds like kind of amplified talking.
Okay, so I do recognize this, and I want to walk down very cautiously to see what that is.
So you have on your character sheet a stealth skill.
Okay, so I roll the 20.
You rolled a natural 20? Oh, you roll the 20. I'm sorry, yes.
9.
Oh, 9? Okay. So 9 plus 8, that's fine. So yeah, you sort of sneak in and you peer around the corner, and what you see is what you believe to be that same dwarf. And there are 2 guys in front of him and 1 guy behind him. And he has his shield is in his right hand. He's got a flail in his left hand, and his cape is pulled back now that you can see he's in like a full suit of steel armor. Roll a perception check for me.
11.
Okay.
19. No, 20.
19 total? 20, beautiful. Okay, so you see, you happen to just catch a glimpse of this. There's a woman who is now like running, like at the other end of the alley. She's running down in between houses over back towards the militia. So you think that these guys were maybe going to rob her, the 3 humans around the dwarf, and the dwarf has somehow stumbled into this mix. So right now, the setting is 1 dwarf, 2 humans in front of him who he's facing, and then there's 1 human behind him, and then you were kind of off to the side from that human, the last human around the corner.
Okay, so I definitely want to get a better vantage point. I don't want to get any closer nor get involved.
Let's see. So you want to tumble up on top of the, or climb up on top of the building?
Yeah.
I think the same stealth check is probably fine. So you kind of back your ways down Rat Alley a little bit, and then get up onto one of the buildings. And it's just a home that you're on with like a big thatched roof. So you wonder if the people underneath can actually hear you walking around on their roof. So you're being very, very careful. And you can tell like the dwarf is now like swinging his flail around, getting ready for combat, and the voices have escalated, and the three humans are like pickpockets or muggers or something like that. So while you're looking down onto this scene, you see the dwarf raise his flail hand up, and on his steel gauntlet is a symbol of some deity. You don't have to roll a knowledge check for this, but if you had knowledge religion, you might not recognize it. If it was Kallistra, you'd recognize it instantly, but it's one of the many deities. And he raises his hand up in the air, like forthright, holding this flail, and the symbol on his gauntlet starts to glow as he kind of casts his hand down, and a bright sort of like flash of light hits one of the guys. And it doesn't do any damage, but it's just like a light effect. Now they're fighting.
This is the dwarf that I saw earlier?
The dwarf that you saw earlier, you believe is a good guy, and he is fighting three like thugs.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to start making my way down, climb my way down, and I do want to sort of be behind him and see what's going on, see if I can help in some way.
So from here, you are slightly behind the mugger that didn't get the flash of light put on him. You can do a number of things here. You could jump off of the roof. I know this is up to you because this is your style. You can jump off of the roof and you can try to stab him with one of your daggers. You can throw a dagger at him.
Yeah, so how far am I from him? Because I would like to just throw it just to be a little less obvious.
Well, you're within 10 feet, I would say. The roof's, it's a single-story house. It's not that far away. All right, so as the dwarf is engaging that first mugger, you take your dagger by the tip and line up and whip it overhand throw right at the mugger. So you have to roll to see if you hit, and then you have to roll to do the damage.
Okay, I got a 9.
Okay, so 9 plus 4, because you're within 10 feet, and that's 13.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do hit. So when you see 1d4, that means you roll one 4-sided die, and then you add 1 to whatever the result was.
4.
You got a 4? Okay,
Yes.
So it's 4 plus 1. So you did 5 points of damage. So you connect with that dagger right in the neck, and you see most of it sink down into him. And he coughs out this awful noise, drops to his knees, and then goes face first in the dirt. And the dwarf looks and sees him, and you're gone. You fleed. So you help the dwarf out for sure.
Great.
And the fighting continues. As you're sort of like scurrying away from this scene, you can hear the melee continue, but you're fairly certain that you did the right thing. I'm sorry. You are totally certain that you've done the right thing.
Great.
Now that you're walking around, you can see, I don't know why the dwarf was out at midnight, but he was out doing something, stalking the streets perhaps.
And is he safe now?
He looks like he can handle himself in a fight, but you definitely helped level the playing field, so he only has 2 people to fight now instead of 3.
And did he see what I did, or he just saw somebody killed somebody?
He saw a dagger sticking out of the back of the neck of one of the muggers, and then nothing. He saw it just came out of nowhere.
Okay, great.
So you can do whatever you want at this point. You can keep walking around. You can escape back to the lighthouse.
Can I lurk around and just kind of creep behind and just make sure that he's going to be okay?
Yeah, you can actually make a loop back around that area, staying on the building, and just keep an ear out. And as you listen, you can hear more melee and a thud. And then eventually you hear an exhale. And then you can hear like metal moving around. And then the dwarf reappears, fully cloaked in his black cloak again, and walks down off towards Main Street.
Okay, great. Once I see that, then I head back to the lighthouse and call it a night.
All right, so you wake up the next morning, and you immediately set out, pack up all your stuff, and set out to the Pathfinder Guild Hall to try to meet those adventurers that you inquired about yesterday. And as you get down onto Tower Street, coming from around the side of the beach, as not to be noticed, you see that there is a wagon pulling out with a number of people there. And by the time you get to the Guild Hall, they're about to turn the corner to get on the street out of town. And you recognize the Wavering Dwarf sitting in the back of the wagon with his legs dangling over the edge, like kids would do back in the day. And he doesn't seem to notice you, but you can tell that they've headed out. You can do a number of things here. What do you want to do? You probably can't catch up to them, at least to ride with them in the wagon.
Okay, so what is around me that will allow me to catch up to them?
There are a couple of horses tied up. You could either steal or trick the attendant into letting you use.
Is there anybody around if I will notice that if I see one?
Yeah, there's like one guy outside who's kind of like just dubbing around. Maybe he's picking up poop. Horse poop.
And how can I trick him to?
Good question. So if you look back at your character sheet, you have bluff, diplomacy, which are both +1 modifiers. You'd have to roll a really good bluff or diplomacy to use
That's
that.
That's the 20, right?
You have to roll a 20-sided die, and then you'd add 1 for those.
I got 14, so I got 15.
You got 15? Okay, that was quick. I was going to say you have these other things too, but you could just try to steal it. So you talk to the attendant, and the attendant's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" You go ahead. What do you tell him?
And I tell him, I have to take this horse up to town and take him for a quick little ride, just a little exercise. I'll bring him right back.
Usually that's my job.
Oh, you know what? But I've been here for a day or two, and he's taken a liking to me, so I'm just going to take him out.
Well, if you say so, lady. And
thank you.
He just hands over the reins and says, "Here you go." All right, so now you have a horse.
All right, so I take that horse and I start catching up to you guys.
They're pretty far ahead, even though that managed to be pretty quick. They are enough that they probably wouldn't notice. Like, you can easily see the cart, and they probably wouldn't notice that you're following them because I'm assuming you're keeping a safe distance behind them?
I am.
Okay. You eventually, after a very long ride, and the horse is like, the guy who lent you the horse is probably like, where did she go? What town was she talking about taking him a ride around? You see the cart kind of come to a stop and pull over to the left side of the road. And the 4 people get out, and they're sort of standing outside for a while. What do you do?
So I immediately jerk to the left. And I just stand there and I watch. So
you're kind of like behind some brush?
Yes, I hide behind a bush.
Okay. Are you going to wait here for a bit until they go in? Sort of scope the scene? What do you want to do?
Yes, I'm going to wait just a little bit. I'm going to watch what they're doing, see who stays in the car, if anybody goes inside, and take it from there.
So you definitely have great vision. So from where you are, and they probably can't see you. Well, some of them are elves, but they're probably not paying attention, including the wavering one. So from your vantage point here, you can see they all go in, and then a little ways later, the dwarf and the human come out holding another dwarf, and they put him in the back of the wagon. And then they head back inside. And then you hear a lot of shouting, kind of echoing through the cavern. And then they eventually come out with another dwarf, and it's all 4 of them. And they put him in the wagon also, and then they go back inside. They're in there for kind of a little while now. What do you want to do?
All right, so I'm going to continue to lay low. I'm going to get a little closer with the horse and just continue to watch.
Okay.
I'm not going to do anything yet.
So they're still in there. They're still in there doing something. The 2 dwarfs are in the back of the wagon.
All right, so I'm going to go up to the wagon and just take a little peek in.
Okay. So
cautiously as possible.
You get up to the wagon, you're looking at the dwarves, and you can tell that both of the dwarves are unconscious, but they're breathing, so they look stable. But they're definitely like pummeled, beat up, really bad. You didn't hear any melee before they brought the first up. You didn't hear any shouting or anything. So you do remember that we can retcon this a little bit. You do remember that Belor told you, or the guy in the guild hall told you that they were going to look for a couple of dwarven surveyors in the mine that had disappeared.
Oh, okay.
And now you can hear a little bit of commotion coming back out of the mine entrance. So you think that you can tell that the 4 adventurers are coming back out.
All right, so I see them, and I do see they have a pulse. They seem okay, and I wander off, and I hide into the bushes so the others can't see me.
So you have time. You can escape now and head back to town if you want to get there before they do.
Yeah, so I would definitely, like to do that if I can.
You head back to town, and you can ride much faster, so you get there much, much quicker than it took to get to the mine. And you return the horse to the guild hall. The young kid is like, "Oh, gee, thanks." Doesn't ask any more questions, goes back to his duties. And I guess the question would be, are you convinced that these people are going to help you at this point?
I'm not 100% convinced, but I feel like they're the only lead I have right now, so I want to take that chance and jump on it.
Okay. So you have to figure out a way how you're going to contact them if you're keeping a low profile. One thing that you could do is leave them a letter. You know where the dwarf went. He's at the Rusty Dragon. So it wouldn't be terribly uncommon to leave a note or something like that there for him. And then he is connected with the others, so he could let you go. You could go back to the Hogshead Inn and leave a note with Floyd the bartender, if the human is in fact staying there. You're not sure where the half-elf went because he went to the theater, but the wavering elf also went to the Rusty Dragon.
Okay. I would like to contact the dwarf and leave him a letter.
Okay, and do you want to leave it at the Rusty Dragon?
I do.
Okay, so as part of your kits, and your disguises kit, or your courtesan kit, we'll assume that, or part of the rogue's kit, that you have a pen and ink, and from your time at the Kallistrian Temple, you've got some yellow and black wax and the seal of the wasp, which, as I mentioned, is Kallistria's favored animal. And so you prepare a letter to the Master Dwarf, seal it with the wax wasp, and then leave it at the Rusty Dragon.
Okay, sounds good.
And then you escape back to the lighthouse to wait.
That's it for this episode. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's at StabbyQuest for the latest StabbyQuest news, which can also be found at our website, StabbyQuest.com. Our players are Justin Emerson, Connor Kern, Brandon Marion, Sarah North, and Chad Rogers. Your game master is yours truly, Forrest G. Emerson. StabbyQuest is co-produced by Brandon and me. Original artwork is by Justin Gray. Check him out on Instagram at burn.to.build and Twitter at burn2build, or at his website burn2build.com. See you next week.
Good night.
Nailed it.